and welcome here to TalkFCB, and welcome back to the channel here today, guys, where I am back with plenty of Barca news to bring you, because, well, if you like left wingers, today's video is for you. You are going to absolutely love this. So we've got a whole range of left wingers today to discuss. Young, not that old, very old, whatever you like, whatever your preference is. We've got it right here. And there may even be an opinion on the way, guys, that might surprise you in today's video. So all of that is on the way, all of the very latest news, and I can't wait to bring it to you. So come on, and let's do this. Because yeah, sorry guys, over the past 2 days here I've had a few car troubles. It's always a nightmare when that happens, isn't it? And it's been a little bit difficult to get it all solved, so I haven't really been able to have the time to be here on the channel. But today I am back, and I also want to give a big shout out here to channel member Mike, who says, keep up the great work, Jamie, but also, do you have any news on Thiago Alcantara's return? Now, thank you very much, first of all, for that absolutely incredible support, especially right now. And on Thiago, it's quite interesting, actually, because, of course, he was a key member of Flick's coaching staff in his early days at the club, of course, during pre-season. He had a really, really good bond there with the rest of the players as well in the group, and he worked very closely with several of them, and he has been working over the past few months now on acquiring his full coaching license, and that's what he's been working on here. So I think he will become a coach, in his own right. He is certainly looking to forge his way in the game, and he's continued to stay, though, in regular contact with Hansi Flick. The two of them get on very, very well, and Flick actually invited Thiago very recently there to his end of season get-together, really, with the rest of his current coaching staff, and I thought that was a nice touch there to invite Thiago. He was part of that team, of course, and it was nice to see them back together again, and I wouldn't be surprised if a little bit further down the line here Thiago was to return to the club. Flick was very, very happy to have him as part of his team, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Thiago back at some stage. However, guys, if we do now move on to the very latest on transfers, and let's actually start here with a transfer that may be close to becoming official, because Barca are reportedly closing in on the signing of Cardoso Varela. Now, that is an interesting one there, because many of you will be saying, well, who is that? Who is this young man? What can he bring to the club? Well, he is a 16-year-old, extremely highly talented Portuguese left winger, currently playing his football in Croatia at Dinamo Zagreb. Now, he really impressed as well at the under-17 Euros for Portugal, and he came through Porto's academy, where some absolute superstars have emerged over the past years. But there's actually some controversy there, guys, with regards to Porto, because Cardoso Varela's agent, well, that is Andy Barra. That is a name that you will recognise. He's got the same agent there as Dani Olmo, also along with new signing Joan Garcia as well. So we've done quite a bit of business recently with Andy Barra, but Porto right now are extremely angry, and have been for some time, about the way that Cardoso Varela was taken away from the club at such a young age there by his agent, and they have even threatened legal action there. So that's something to keep an eye on. But Cardoso Varela will remain on loan with Dinamo Zagreb, even if Barca do sign him here this summer for the coming season there. So he will remain in Croatia until at least 2026. So I think that is a good decision. Keep him playing regular football. You want to keep him developing. Still only 16 years old. Very, very young indeed. And of course, Barca Athletic right now, they are tumbling down the divisions. They're not quite playing at the same level that you'd want, really, for young players looking to constantly develop. And in terms of the transfer fee, that is going to be 5 million euros fixed, but bonuses here, and this is the interesting part of the deal, bonuses that could be worth up to 20 million euros. And a lot of people looked at that and thought, okay, 5 million's all right, it's a potential release clause there apparently, but bonuses up to 20 million, I mean, that's very, very high. Is that a good deal? But this actually reminds me of the deal there when we signed Pedri from Las Palmas, of course, whereby it was a low, guaranteed fee up front, and then the bonuses that followed would depend on, is he playing a lot of games? Has he won a lot of trophies? Is he doing good things for the team? And basically what that means is, if those bonuses do go on to be hit, Well, that means he's developed into the kind of player that we were hoping for here, because none of us minded paying 20 million now for Pedri. That in the end has still been an absolute bargain. Daylight robbery in many ways. So I think that's the same thinking here with Cardoso Varela. Barca getting in there early, a young talent. He's a left winger. He's a very exciting talent. Got a really, really good weak foot as well. That's something that should be noted. Cutting in, really doing some good work there. Barca hoping he can develop into something very, very special. And if he does, that's when those bonuses will come into effect. Then, though, we do move on to LUIZ Diaz, who I think we're all still talking about quite regularly here. We're all thinking a lot about LUIZ Diaz. We're hearing a lot about him in the media. And make no mistake, Barca, they're still very much going for him. He still remains the #1 left-wing target for Barca this summer. And I think there's lots to unpack on that, really, because earlier on in this week, he was brilliant. You know, let's be honest here. He put in an absolutely fantastic individual performance there against Argentina, scored a stunning solo goal in that game. It was absolutely breathtaking. And to be honest, though, I don't think anybody is surprised by that. I don't think anybody would be surprised looking at LUIZ Diaz playing. Well, you know, he's not just a random player. Whenever we're talking about him and Barca, we've not just plucked him here out of thin air. He is a very, very good player. And I don't think any of us dispute that. And we've seen it for club. We've seen it for country. He was a key part of Liverpool's title-winning team this year. That is why they are so keen to keep him. And there's also a reason why not only Deco likes him, but Hansi Flick himself is a big fan of LUIZ Diaz. And I've said it before, if Flick wants somebody, if Flick is looking at a player and thinking, okay, you could work in my team, you are a good player that would fit the system well, then you listen to him. Hansi Flick has earned the right here to pick his squad, to pick his players, to have a good authority within the club here because of what he's done at the club so far. So I've got no doubts about any of that. My only concern here, and I think this goes for many, many of us Barcelona fans, the only concern is the price. Because it's not just about, at Barca, are you a good player? Do you have talent? Do you have quality? Because I'll throw some names at you. Antoine Griezmann had talent. Felipe Coutinho is a good player. Ousmane Dembele had talent as well. Those are all good players. But if the price isn't right, that quality can soon quickly turn into a disaster because of what you end up costing the club. Which is why, for me, if we're talking about 80 million, for example, for a player here who turns 29 in January, that's obviously not good business. That's where the concern lies. Because yes, everybody will say, well, it's not your money. Why do you care about the club's finances? Why are you so concerned about transfer fees? Well, because of what we've gone through in all of these past years. I think we're all within our rights here as Barca fans to be concerned about what the club spend because of the financial situation that we all had to come through. We all had to endure the problems that caused us, so we don't want to go back there again. But Barca remain adamant, though. They're not going to pay that. They're not going to pay 80 million. We don't want to pay big, big money for LUIZ Diaz. But then I'm just going to ask you, what's going to happen then? What is the plan with Diaz? Because do we expect here this summer Liverpool to massively lower their valuation for a player they don't want to sell? You know, they don't want to get rid of Diaz. He's a key part, like I said, of their team. They got him under a fairly decent contract there, decent length on it. Is there some sort of agreement behind the scenes with Diaz, with Liverpool, that if a certain offer arrives from Barca, they'll let him go? I mean, given Liverpool's stance when we approached them recently, it just doesn't look like that's the case. You know, we went to Liverpool, we tried to open talks with them. They shut the door in our face. They didn't even enter conversations. They simply said, Diaz is not for sale. That doesn't sound like a club here who are open to an exit, who have some sort of agreement behind the scenes. So let's wait and see how Barca play this. Let's wait and see exactly what's going to happen over the course of the whole summer. But this is a situation that remains ongoing. I would also today, guys, like to mention, a very talented player in Bradley Barcola. Now, we've had a few links, not too many, but there have been a few links here to the 22-year-old, of course, currently playing his football at PSG. There's a whole host of clubs interested in him this summer. He's, of course, an excellent, excellent winger. Now, Barca are reportedly one of those clubs who are keeping tabs on him. Apparently, within the club, he's very, very highly regarded, and there's the potential maybe to make a move for him. But, well, I think the problem, the big elephant here in the room, it's Paris Saint-Germain. Good luck getting any player out of PSG, especially if they don't want to let them go. They don't leave. They do not let them leave. And especially when your name happens to be FC Barcelona. There is no chance there that PSG will be open to doing business with us. So I think in the end here, Barcola, big talent, very, very exciting player at a great age as well. But I think, to be honest, he'll probably end up staying at PSG this summer. They've only just won the Champions League. Of course, it's a great time right now for the club with them. They've got a really exciting project under Luis Enrique. Lots of good young talent, to be fair. And he's very much a part of that team. So I think Barcola will stay put this summer, but he is a player that Barca do admire. However, guys, then we must move on to what is a topic here that is going to very much divide opinion. I want to talk to you about Ivan Perisic. Now, like I said, my opinion on this, I think you've got to stay tuned for the whole thing. You've got to see all sides of it. It might surprise a few people because Perisic now is being actually linked to Barca for several weeks. And I've only recently taken this seriously since Fabrizio Romano said Flick does like him. Flick does actually admire the player's qualities. Barca are aware of the situation, the fact that he will be a free agent this summer, and he is an option for the club. Now, many people, just off the back of that there, will think, okay, 36-year-old Ivan Perisic on a free transfer, what are we doing? Why are we thinking of going down this road? Why are we lining him up as an option here? But like I say, let me just look a little bit further into this. Give me a moment to maybe explain a few more sides of it. Because when you're thinking here solely about depth, about adding players who can add something, they can give you something. It's a long season. There's so many games to play. We're talking here about squad depth and very, very cheap, of course. He's a free transfer. The wages would not be high at all. And there's a reason that Flick likes him. He's worked with him before. He knows exactly what Perisic can offer. He knows how he operates. He can play in several different roles in the team. And again, I'm happy to trust Flick's judgment on that. And can I also just say, guys, in the balance of fairness here, Perisic, he may be 36 years old. He's been outstanding for the past season. He is coming off the back here of genuinely one of the best seasons of his career. He is playing in the Eredivisie for PSV, and he's been absolutely excellent for them, even in Europe as well, by the way. And what's also worth paying attention to is his international form with Croatia. You know, recently in the Nations League, in the playoff matches there against France, in both legs, I thought he was absolutely fantastic. I really, really did there. Very, very impressed with him. Of course, he's somebody who has a lot of experience. He's a bit of a big game player as well. He's one of those players who could be useful with the young squad that we have as well. And like I say, it's a low-cost option. But can I just make something absolutely clear here? If this was our first choice left winger in terms of this summer, if we didn't sign anybody else, we just signed Perisic, well, that would be a problem. You know, I'm not suggesting here that this is our signing. Otherwise, you've got bigger problems financially than we're all aware of. You know, if this is the best that we can do here, a free transfer, 36 years old, it doesn't look great. It doesn't look great there in terms of what other clubs are doing at this point in the summer. But as an addition, because in my personal view, guys, even if we sign a left winger, we still need more. You know, we're still quite short there in the wide areas. So I would not say no to a bit of extra depth. I would not say no here to a player coming in that Flick likes, that Flick knows can play a part in this team. I think Perisic, he is playing incredibly well right now, despite his age. And as a bonus, as extra depth, I wouldn't be against it. You know, like I say, as the first choice signing this summer, it's a no. It's a catastrophic no. But as a bonus, as a joker really in this transfer window, I think we've got to give Flick the benefit of the doubt. And that's only if, of course, and it still remains a big, big if, this signing even happens. So indeed, guys, those are my thoughts there on several different, you know, left wingers. Very, very contrasting players there. You've got old, you've got young, you've got players in between. And I think Barca right now, they've got to have a good window. You know, we cannot allow the other clubs here who are doing such good work, who are really strengthening their squads, we can't let them get away. We have to be attentive. We have to be proactive. And these are big, big weeks ahead of us, guys, in the window. So please do let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Really intrigued as to what you make of some of those Perisic rumours. I will wait for your opinions on that. And I will see you soon indeed, with lots more videos coming up on the channel. Now, thank you indeed, though, for the fantastic support. But until next time, as always, Vizca, El Barça.